In the Hardaway Southern T, back with another EP. And I'm here for a good time, not a long time, here real quick. You know what I mean? To drop this information to you, want to talk about something that Eddie Hearn stated in one of his most recent interviews. Eddie Hearn, says a lot, right? As he should, being a promoter. Sometimes Eddie Hearn, you know, he talks himself into holes, you know what I mean? That he got to get himself out of. But the ladies, what I'm here to talk about this morning, real quick, I ain't gonna hold y'all in here too long, right? I want to talk about these comments made from Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn is the CEO, owner of Zone Boxing. I mean, he puts on the Zone cards, that we like to watch so much, right? Does Eddie Hearn? Most recently, Eddie Berlanga in Top Rank, they decided to go their separate ways, which landed Edward Berlanga with Eddie Hearn in the zone. Eddie Hearn signed Edward Berlanga. He hasn't given Edward Berlanga a fight just yet, but when asked about Edward Berlanga and his future plans, where he see him going and whatnot, Eddie Hearn stated that he could see Edward Berlanga fighting Canelo, and he could see Edward Berlanga fighting Canelo sooner, a little sooner than later, right? He said, Edward Berlanga is a guy who had a great early career, who rose to stardom, and he feel like now it's time for Edward Berlanga to take those step up fights and face off against the big names in boxing. He said, now he did say that he didn't want to send Edward Berlanga directly into a fight with Canelo. He said he wanted Edward Berlanga to have about two more fights on the big stage, and then he will be ready to get in there and face off against Canelo Alvarez, right? So my thing is, both these guys are at 168, right? But nobody asked for Edward Berlanga versus Canelo Alvarez. This isn't a high level fight, right? That the people are calling for. I will watch this fight, right? Because it is entertaining, at the least. But this isn't just some huge fight that the fans must have. But if you look at Eddie Hearn and the moves that he make, right, and the type of time that Eddie Hearn is on, this this move most definitely does fall right in line, with the Eddie Hearn moves. Eddie Hearn is about making splash fights, right? Not necessarily fights, that not necessarily competitive fights or fights that that make sense, or not even necessarily fights that the people ask for, but a splash fight. Like the people may not have asked for it, right? But he know well if I put Eubank Jr. and Carter Bean together, you know, that'll make a big splash. That'll get people interested in watching. I feel like this Edward Berlanga and Canelo fight is kind of along the same. It's kind of along the same lines. You know what I mean? It's kind of along the same line, like an entertaining fight, that we would watch. But this isn't a fight, that we asked for. Most definitely not a fight, right? That we want to see Canelo face off. We would much rather see Canelo face off, against the top guys at 168, maybe Benavidez, Demetrius Andrade, uh, Caleb Plant, part two. I think all of those fights will be much more competitive than the Edward Berlanga fight. Uh, you know what I mean? We got David Benavidez and Caleb Plant fighting at the end of this month. Maybe the winner of that fight. You know what I mean? Fights Canelo next. But this El Berlanga move, right? This is most definitely like up the alley over Eddie Hearn. This is most definitely like along the alley, right? Up the alley over Canelo Alvarez. We asked for certain fights, right? And then we ended up getting things that, out of left field that nobody ever asked for, nobody ever really wanted, right? But I ain't gonna keep up too much of y'all time with this EP. I'm gonna do my Tony Harrison and Tim Du fight breakdown and prediction a little later on this morning. I'm gonna do that thing a little later on this morning. You know what I mean? But I wanted to make sure that I talk about this El Berlanga thing, this El Berlanga and Canelo situation. In boxing, this happens all too often, right? It's kind of like the promoter. People like boxing did, right? The fighters run the boxing. There are some fighters, right, who can control what they do. Like the fighters at the top, they could for the most part control what they do. Like guys like Canelo, they fight, pretty much who they want to fight, like right, who they pick to fight, right. But too often we have guys at the top of the division not fighting other guys at the top of the division. El Berlanga at this point, at best, will be considered, you know what I mean, a prospect, right? So we got Canelo Alvarez, who's about to face off against El Berlanga, who's considered a prospect, and not even El Berlanga, right? At his scariest. This is El Berlanga coming out 12 round decisions, looking human, looking vulnerable. So of course, right up the alley of Canelo Alvarez, right up the alley of Eddie Hearn. Just put on fights that nobody asked for. Y'all do your boy a favor, y'all hit that thumbs up for your boy. Really appreciate everybody signing through this thing. I ain't gonna hold up too much of y'all time. Go hit y'all with the fight breakdown and prediction later. Let's get harder with the T. This ain't the past. This ain't the future. It's the present. That's how we rocking.